Now, let me ask you, does your worry and anxiety ever look a little bit like controlling, micromanaging behavior, or is it just me? Okay. See, it's another session of therapy, people. I'm telling you. This is great. I'm feeling better already. So I try not to dwell on the number of times that this has happened or that I have fallen into this little trap, but most recently it happened at my niece's birthday party. So picture party hats and happy children playing, and everyone's having a great time. It's my whole family, all 18 of us, okay? So let me just say, why does my bad behavior always have to happen in a large group of people? And then it's like, oh, remember that time when Angela, this is really good. And then it's like the whole family knows about it, okay? So, and then I tell it at an event like this, so the whole world. Okay, whatever. It's fine. I'm going with it. So anyway, it started out like a normal conversation. It might have been, just hanging out with the family, playing games, everyone's having a great time. And then the topic came up. Motorcycles. Men with young families and no insurance. Life insurance, that is. I might have had an opinion about it. Do I seem opinionated? A little bit. So, it was like just one comment just flipped that switch for me. Are you ever like that? And then, I was like up on that soapbox faster than anyone could. They didn't even know what hit them. And when I'm talking soapbox, this giant present, that was my soapbox, okay? It was like flashing lights, caution tape, I was up there, I was like, and another thing, I made my point like 3 different ways, and then I was like, yeah, and I think you got my point. And then everyone was just quiet, and it's like, well, okay then, I think that wraps up the party. I don't know why that's to wrap up the party. Someone needs to apologize to me. Clearly you guys are wrong about this whole motorcycle thing. Anyway, if you guys are anti-motorcycle, let's talk later, okay? So, I was like in the kitchen afterwards talking to my mom. Seriously, Mom, I don't know what their problem is, blah, blah, blah. And she's like dishing up the food, like trying to put it away. She's like, okay, everyone's leaving, all quiet. Just the kids are filing out, So I leave, and I'm seriously waiting for an apology. I'm thinking, I will get a call any minute. I'm just expecting it. So, I go to bed, no phone call. Next morning, I just woke up and I thought, I just feel like I'm justified for my raised voice and my disrespectful tone because of the issue at hand. Clearly. Safety, people. And then I had to read the Bible. There were these verses in James that talk about peace, loving, pure, kind, blah, blah, blah. And then it was like, oh, great. I have to apologize now. It was so annoying because really, what it came down to was I was so wrapped up in my worry and my anxiety about the situation because, I had played it out in my mind. My brother was going to die in an accident, leaving his wife and their children without any support, and then they would be living with me. You get the picture. I had cranked that puppy up all the way, Or then there were many scenarios that I had played out in my mind. So I realized I needed to call and apologize. It was tough, because I still had the same opinion, as you can tell. But my worry and anxiety had just gotten the best of me. It had gotten the best of me. It had taken over the truth, which is who's in control, who loves me more than anything. Joanna Weaver writes that concern draws us to God. Worry pulls us from Him. Concern draws us to God. Worry pulls us from Him. We can replace anxiety with God's grace. God's grace is given to you and to me freely. And even as we are wrapped up in fear, even as we are wrapped up in anxiety and worry, it's because of his grace that we're able to humble ourselves. It's because of his grace that we're able to say, hey, I've messed up. I didn't get it right this time. I might not get it right again. It's because of his grace that we can choose grace over anxiety. We can choose a grace that covers our sin. We can choose a grace that's more than enough for whatever it is that we're facing. In 1 Peter chapter 5, verses 6 and 7, it says, humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, so that at the proper time he may exalt you, casting your anxieties on him, because he cares for you. There's something so beautiful that happens when we humble ourselves before God. When we say, God, I know you're more than enough. I know I need you. I know I can trust you. When we humble ourselves, it's a lot easier to cast our anxieties on him. It's a lot easier to trust him. It's a lot easier to admit, hey, you know what? He does care for me. And that argument that day was based on my fear, on my worry, on my anxiety. But once I had humbled myself before God, I realized that I could dump off that burden that I was never meant to carry in the first place. I was never meant to carry in the first place.